Hi there, this is Rob, and this is the overnight overview for Wednesday. No clock today because I have a trade I want to carefully go over. It was my first trade of 2013 last night, and it was an interesting one from a trade management standpoint. So I'll look closely at that, and I'll discuss my reasons for taking the approach I took. First, let's look at the odd sheet as it stood at yesterday's close. The obvious thing that stands out is that we have three index securities whose averages are highlighted in orange. Orange highlights mean they meet the minimum criteria for a possible short trade. One of these qualifiers is ES, which is the security I typically use to trade overnight. It's also the one I pay most attention to. ES had weak numbers all around. Price action showed strongly bearish odds, internals were weak, and seasonality was as well. So the averages were well below the 45% profitable and 0.91 profit factor that I prefer to consider a short trade. While there was some conflict among the other indices, nothing was showing up in green, and the bearish outlook was confirmed by both SPY and YM. Additionally, there were some bearish studies to consider. I showed in yesterday's overnight overview that when ES closes at a 200-day high in January, there's been a tendency to gap down the next morning. Additionally, there were 4 edge finder studies that triggered. All 4 of them suggested a downside edge. So between the odd sheet and all the studies, we had a good amount of bearish evidence. Therefore, as I indicated in the trading room and as I stated on the subscriber feed, I went short near the close. I used the standard stop and target amount. The standard target was between 3.25 and 3.5 points. I got filled on my entry 1/4 point below the actual closing price. Therefore, I decided to place my target 3.25 points below my entry, which equated to 3.5 points below where ES closed. Let's take a look at the chart and see how the night played out. Early on, the trade went against me, but that didn't last very long. It began a slow slide from about 6 p.m. until 1 in the morning. And just after 1, the market reached my target of 1486. Unfortunately, while there were several trades at that level, I did not receive a fill. This happens on occasion, and when it rose off that level a few minutes later, there was a possibility that although the target price had been reached, I could end up with a losing trade. In situations like this, if I'm awake and notice what happens, I'll often move my stop down near break even. That way I don't take a loss on a trade that actually met my target. When I moved the stop down, I also moved my target up 1/4 point. I did this because I decided I wanted to get filled on any retest of that 1486 low. I did get filled just after 2 a.m. at 1486.25. There was another little dip later, and ES reached as low as 1485 around 4 a.m. But that was the end of the selling. There was a lot of wiggling for the rest of the early morning. When ES finally opened, it did so 2 points below where it closed. While I did not max out my profits, I did make 3 points, which is better than not having used a target at all. So it was a moderate win, but it's always nice to start the year off with a profitable trade. They don't all work out this well, but over time, playing the odds has been profitable for me. Sorry, no time for any research today, but I'll be back tomorrow with some. Thanks for listening, and rest easy.